Hello, my name is Mary Moore, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Thurston County. Today's program is brought to you by the League. We are a nonpartisan and we are a nonprofit organization. We are dedicated to the goal of educating voters so that they can make informed choices. Open to both men and women, the League also advocates for sound public policy based on study and consensus. We would like to take this opportunity particularly to thank the consistent, loyal support of TCTV. We are very appreciative of their efforts for us. They're with us all the time and work hard. Today, we have a particularly wonderful program. We have the two candidates for the Thurston County Commissioner position number 1. We have, to my direct left, we have Kathy Wolf, and to her left, Karen Rogers. They will both start out today by offering a 2-minute introduction to themselves. And then we will proceed with questions to which they will both respond. At the end of the 6 questions, then they will have a 1-minute chance to impress upon you why you should vote for them. So are we ready to start, ladies? All right, Karen, would you like to start?
Absolutely. Thank you, Mary, and thanks to the League of Women Voters for hosting this. It's a wonderful service. My name's Karen Rogers. I'm running for Thurston County Commission number 1. And what I'd like to bring and do for the Thurston County is first jobs. That's the top priority. Government, we have wonderful government here in Thurston County. We're very lucky, but we know government is not enough. We cannot afford to put too many eggs in just one basket. So let's work with business. We need to create a business-friendly environment. I am very happy to say that I got the endorsement for the Lacey Chamber of Commerce Political Action Committee. So Ritchie Brothers, Cheese Factory, Housing Mart down in Rochester, these are businesses that have since moved out. We need to bring these businesses back. We have to have regulations that people can live with, issue permits in a reasonable time, and keep tax rates in a reasonable fashion, and not just for businesses, but also for residents. Second thing is public safety. Roads, sheriff's office, fire, public health department. Make sure that budget is sustainable. We're going to have a $7 million shortfall projection by 2015. That's not sustainable. The jail, $67.9 million. It hasn't opened. It was done 2 years ago. We need to get that open. It's falling apart. The third thing is open government, making government open, respectful, and responsive to everyone. It doesn't matter to me what party you are, how much money you make, where you live. If you live in Thurston County, I definitely work for you and I want to represent you. We need to have trust and integrity in government, and we also have to have fairness. One example is the Great Wolf Lodge. 2 years ago, a federal judge decided that the Great Wolf Lodge did have to pay property taxes, 49%, which was amounting to about $1 million. It hasn't been collected in 2 years while the county commission and the county are in negotiation. This is not fair. You and I, we pay our property taxes. They should too. Thank you so much.
Kathy?
Well, good afternoon. I'm Kathy Wolf, and it's been my privilege to serve as your Thurston County Commissioner from District 1 for the past 3 terms. And I'm running for a 4th term because I believe I have the energy, the expertise, the experience, and the personality and the passion to do this job. I wake up every morning excited to go to work. I'm very proud of our accomplishments. I'm endorsed, in fact, I'm the only candidate in this race endorsed by the Thurston County Democrats. I'm endorsed by environmental groups, specifically the Sierra Club, Thurston Conservation Voters, the Women's Political Caucus, Citizens for Responsible Government, labor unions, 3 different labor unions, and a majority of the county and city elected officials, including 5 out of 7 of the Olympia City Council members. Specifically, I'm proud of the work we've done on the budget, on the environment, but let me talk first about the budget because that's probably one of the biggest things right now. 3 years ago, we were in a world of hurt like a lot of other jurisdictions. In fact, right now, City of Olympia, City of Tacoma, and several other jurisdictions are in a lot of trouble. We cut $10 million out of our budget, 168 positions. We reorganized from 16 departments down to 8. We paid off a $6 million debt. We've improved our bond rating, which was always good, but it's even better now. AA3 is our bond rating. We put management tools in place. We are now one of the most financially solvent counties in the entire state, and I'm very proud of that. Also very proud of our strong environmental work. We've worked hard with property owners, people that want to preserve environment for many years to come for future generations. We've done work with energy, water quality, many, many things that I'm very proud of, and I'd like to have a chance to go back for another 4 years. Thank you.
Well, thank you both. So we'll start with the questions. And I'm going to give you, Kathy, first crack.
Okay.
Okey-doke. What is your opinion about the critical areas ordinance that was currently passed, and what do you think should be the next steps in implementing it and other aspects of the state's Growth Management Act?
I am very proud of our work on the critical area ordinance. We worked many, many years to get this done. When I said we were one of the best counties in the state in terms of the budget, I have to say we are one of the worst counties in the state when it comes to passing our critical area ordinance. This was mandated by the Growth Management Act back in the early 90s, and we first wrote it in 1994. It was revised slightly in 1996, but all this time we've been working on an old ordinance, and it's absolutely, I think, one of the most wonderful things we've done in the last year is to finally pass that ordinance. And I believe taxpayers, the citizens of Thurston County, are going to be particularly pleased when we hear from the federal government, probably by the end of this month, around the 30th of September, when certain species are listed. If they are listed, we're going to be very happy we have that ordinance in place, because that means that we can control our own destiny here. We can make our own ordinances. We will not depend on the federal government to come in and do that for us. So implementation of that ordinance over the next few years, working very closely with property owners. We do that already, but we're going to continue working with them. And if we find things we need to tweak, we're willing to tweak it as we go along. But I think it's going to be one of the best things that we've done in many years. It's going to help to preserve this wonderful, pristine environment we have for years to come.
Karen, your response?
Well, there's no doubt sustainability is absolutely key. I have a master's degree in wetland ecology. I've worked for the state legislature where I helped write the bill creating the Puget Sound Partnership. But I'm not the only environmentalist here. I think almost everyone in Thurston County is. We all agree to sustainability, urban planning, transportation, water usage, energy usage, carbon footprint. It's not about our goals per se, it's how we get there. The critical areas ordinance, it needs to work at the household level, and right now it's not. When people come to you and they say, don't make me break the law, because the critical areas ordinance as it's currently drafted will, I don't want to be a lawbreaker. It's not going to work. That's not a successful policy. We need to get to our goals, but we also have to have the expertise and the understanding and the policies to get there. That's what's lacking right now. That's what my expertise brings to the table. That's one of the reasons why I want to be the next county commissioner.
All right. Well, we'll come right back at you, Karen. Okay. How do you plan to open and operate the Accountability and Restitution Center, sweetly known as ARC, or in reality the jail, new jail, given the current financial constraints?
There's no doubt that's extremely challenging. Just 2 days ago, I was speaking with Dan Kimball, the former sheriff, who, by the way, did endorse me, as did Gary Edwards, the sheriff before him. Right now, we have a jail that costs $67.9 million when you factor in the interest payments. And it's been sitting empty for 2 years. There is no plan to open it. And currently, it never did have a viable plan. It was discouraged by the sheriffs who said at the time when it was being built, we don't have the money to operate it. The voters turned out this concept of this particular jail structure twice. And now, yes, it's falling apart. We have problems with the plumbing system, that the rubber sealers are going bad. And we also have things like copper wiring being stolen from the lights outside. There's no doubt about the fact that we have to open this. I spoke with John Snaza. He told me that the only way he can afford to move in is if there are 2 other buildings. The current building, it's 100,000 square feet. It cannot accommodate all of the population we currently have. It can't accommodate women prisoners, nor can it accommodate work release or the mentally ill. He needs those two extra buildings open so he can have all of his staff in one location. He cannot afford to operate two. So right now it's how to get the money to open those two new buildings. Now currently the $100,000 building costs $100,000 square foot building costs $430,000 a year to maintain. If we absolutely have to, I would rather take a bond and use that $430,000 that's currently being wasted and use that to pay down the debt. I don't see any other way of doing this, and I don't think the sheriffs do either.
What is your response to that, Kathy?
Well, first of all, the price of the jail is $45 million, not $67.5. Secondly, it was used by, we used money that was approved by the voters in 1998, the detention sales tax. It is coming in on budget. We have the money budgeted for it. We are able to afford it now. It will be opened after the first of the year. There is a plan, and not only is there a plan, there is incredible amount of cooperation from the sheriff, John Snozza, who's been actually leading the effort, the prosecutor's office, the judges, the county commissioners, the entire courthouse is working very hard together on this plan, and there is very, very definitely a plan. The group meets every other week early in the morning, and Karen, you're certainly welcome to join any of those meetings, and you will see just exactly how much work is being done on the jail. I think the current jail was held together by bubble gum and duct tape and costing voters hundreds and hundreds of thousands of dollars. It was built for about 80 people back in the 1980s. Stop. Okay. It's going to be one of the best decisions we've ever made.
Fine, fine. Thank you for paying attention to our stop sign there.
I wasn't paying. I almost missed it. Okay.
Okie dokie. Well, we'll come right back at you with this next question. The Thurston Regional Planning Council, TRPC, has projected large population growth, as you know, for Thurston County. How do you intend to manage the population growth issue?
Well, I think some of the things we've already talked about are one of the critical area ordinance, just making sure that we actually follow the Growth Management Act and build where we were intended to build, preserve the rural areas. We are working really hard to make sure we are in compliance with that act, and I think that's going to go a long way towards helping. We're working very closely with the other jurisdictions, and I think one thing that's very important to point out, in this county, there are 7 local jurisdictions and 3 tribes, and if we don't work together, and I mean really work together as a team, we don't get anything done, and we are working together. We're part of Thurston Regional Planning. We meet on a regular basis. We do a lot of problem solving together because we're all in this together, but we're certainly trying very hard to direct the growth into the urban areas, and eventually, once the cities are filled up, we want to go to the urban growth areas and preserve the rural areas to the extent that we can. Again, a lot of teamwork. It's going to be absolutely crucial, and we're doing it, and I think we're going to be able to be very happy when we get to the end of the road here. But you're absolutely right. We are growing at a very fast pace.
What is your response to that, Karen?
Well, we do need density in the urban area because we can't afford the sprawl, and one of the best ways we can do that isn't just through zoning, it's through proper zoning. One of the problems that this critical areas ordinance has is that it's going to shut down farmers. The Farm Bureau is about to lodge a lawsuit against the county by the end of this month. What's happening is that you've got wetland buffers, and I say this as a wetland ecologist. Type 4 wetlands are holes in the ground. They don't really provide much value other than water storage. Currently they have 25-foot buffers. Now they're going to be expanded to 50. Farmers simply can no longer have enough land to work with. So that's into consideration. Make sure you keep that farmland going. Otherwise, if they're going to go bankrupt, and some of them already are, they're going to be desperate enough to sell their property, and what's going to happen is that you're going to have developers move in. That's part of the problem. Save those farms. Again, proper zoning, and also work with, not against, the developers. They're the ones who know the market. And unfortunately, government is imposing a world that just isn't going to work, not for them.
Okay, now on to another subject. Karen, are you in favor of establishing terminals for the export of coal in the state of Washington, perhaps even here in Olympia? If so, why? If not, why not?
That right there is an interstate commerce situation that's not handled at the local level as far as terminals go. That is with the Port Commission. We do have the Olympia Port Commission, we also have a lot of other ports throughout the state. Whether they go through Olympia's port is a different story. Currently, we only have the Weyerhaeuser logs going through. They have no other contracts except for some wind blades that have been imported through. As far as what the other ports do, other jurisdictions, we can weigh in if the people of my constituency want to make sure that the Port Commission understands that they don't want this. I will be happy to speak on their behalf, but the Port Commissioners are also directly elected by them. Government, there are many different layers, there are many different aspects of it, and it's understanding who to report to and who to ask. As a commissioner and as a person who's already an elected official, I'm more than happy to sit down with citizens, sit down with residents, and say to them, you come to me with a problem, and I'll try to figure out a solution for you and absolutely where you need to go.
Kathy, what's your take on that?
I am absolutely not in favor of coal trains coming through our area, and I do think there's something we can do about it, and we actually have done something about it. At least our county commission has taken a position, passed a resolution, and indicating our displeasure with this. We've done considerable research into it. I do not think that's what the citizens of this area need. The coal trains would go right through a lot of our small towns. Not only would they cause disruption to medical vehicles and just long trains going through the towns, but one of the biggest problems is you can't really cover the coal. There's tons and tons of this coal, and it's many, many trains. And you can't really cover it, the dust. And the damage to people's lungs and health, I think, would be something I don't even want to consider. I do not want that going through our area. I'll do everything I can to try to stop it.
Okie dokie. Now, the Puget Sound Partnership has adopted an action agenda or state plan for the restoration and protection of Puget Sound. Complete site indicators and targets for achieving a healthy sound by 2020 as required by law. How should the county be involved in helping to achieve those targets?
For me?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, actually, the county plays a very active role with the Puget Sound Partnership. In fact, Commissioner Sandra Romero is one of the leads in that effort. We do everything we can, whether it's as part of the lot board or just as on our county commission, to really take salmon recovery and cleanup of Puget Sound very seriously. We do a lot with water quality. We're sewering the Woodland Creek area. We've had remarkable success in the Henderson Inlet in bringing back, restoring shellfish beds. We're trying to do the same kind of work in the Squally Reach area. We follow the recommendations of the Puget Sound Partnership closely, and as I say, Sandra is very active in that and reports to us on a regular basis. Anything we can do within our funding, and even sometimes we go out for grants, we seek grants, we do whatever we can. We take cleaning up of Puget Sound very, very seriously.
Okay, Karen.
As an Olympia City Council member, I'm really proud of Olympia for all of the things that's done in its own contribution. For example, the Deschutes cleanup. When we got additional water rights with Yelm as well as with with Yelm and the Nisqually tribe, part of that was with a restoration project in the north boundaries of the Deschutes. That's absolutely critical to clean up that water quality. We've also done shoreline restoration, significant amounts, and we have a very effective program where we're switching from septic to sewer, understanding exactly how important LOT is, the LOT Alliance, Lacey, Olympia, Thurston, Tumwater. And they've been absolutely cutting edge on cleaning up water. As a matter of fact, they've got national awards, which is almost unprecedented for a system that size. Only 6 have won that award, and ours was the absolute smallest one. I think we continue to do this at the county level. I'd like to bring that progressive thinking toward that, as well as the environmental consciousness and the commitment.
Thank you. We have one last question, ladies. You'll be glad to know. Okie-doke. And that question we'll start with you, Karen. Local, state, and national parks are all facing tough financial times and pressure to pay their own way. What is your vision of the future of our county's park system? Should it be expanded to include more parks as we prepare for future population increases and increased park use? How should our parks be paid for?
Every single local government that I know of is struggling with this. It's not just that, and as Mary mentioned, it's at the state as well as the federal levels. Right now, Thurston County has shut down its Parks Department. It doesn't have a sustainable budget for that. That's unfortunate, but that's also a reality. One of the things that I've learned as an Olympia City Council member, and one of the reasons why I voted against certain land purchases, is because I already see that Olympia has enough parks to the point where it can't even maintain what it already has or develop. That's unsustainable. You have to look at the level of service when that happens. This also brings into the issue of impact fees. One of the impact fees you can collect is for parks, but it's understanding what those impact fees may be used for legally. Not for operations and maintenance. They only may be used for capital investment like land and structures. So with impact fees, you also have to be careful just how much you charge, because you can overcommit yourself to the point where you just can't sustain it, which is where we are right now. What we can do, and what we're doing at the City of Olympia, is looking for opportunities where the citizens themselves can help out. They're already pitching, and there's this one fellow I know who lives in a neighborhood. He's got a neighborhood park right next to him. It's about 2.5 acres. He takes it upon himself to mow the yard, which is absolutely wonderful, to mow that lawn. City staff are freed up for that. There are other people who take the time to maintain the shrubbery as well as the greenscape right in front of their house. Still others will go out and do debris cleanup. This is a community effort. If we want to keep our park system going, we have to find other ways and other funds and means to make sure we're maintaining them. In the meantime, let's have our elected officials be very sensitive to how much we bring to our plate.
Kathy, your response.
Well, parks are very, very important, and I think they're all the more important in this economy. You know, one thing, people really aren't able to afford travel, and things that they used to be able to afford and do for their families, they really can't do as often as they'd like, and I think that's probably not going to change for a few years. So we think parks they always have been important, but now more than ever. We work very closely with our Park Advisory Board. In fact, right now, we are cooperating with them, trying to write a comprehensive plan for our parks. We were looking for a while at how to bring more entrepreneurial ventures into our parks, but I don't think that's really going to be the only answer. I'm very proud to say that we've been able to keep our parks open, even though we did have to close our park department, but we work really hard to keep our parks open all winter long. And what I would like to see is all of us, and again, we've been working at this, but we haven't quite succeeded yet. I'd like to see all the jurisdictions work together to talk about maybe forming a metropolitan park district. The more we can cooperate with each other in this economic, well, actually all the time, but right now in these hard economic times, the better off we're all going to be, and that takes a lot of teamwork, but I think we can do it.
Mm-hmm. Well, thank you very much, ladies. You now have one last little minute apiece to ask for people's vote, and again, I thank you for your time and your effort. So let's start with Kathy.
Okay, 1 minute. All right, I just want to say thank you very much for holding this forum. I hope people are really paying attention to these forums, and there is a difference between Ms. Rogers and myself. And I think one of the biggest differences, she prides herself on 6-to-1 votes and being the Lone Ranger and being the odd man out, which and many times that's appropriate, but I don't think up to 40 times that she talks about is appropriate at all. I don't think you get anything done in this community unless you are a consensus builder. And I have a very, very long track record, not only on the commission, but during my years in the legislature, of working with both sides of the aisle, bringing people together and actually finding solutions. And I don't think my opponent can do that. And I'm sorry to say that, because I don't think we get anything done unless we can do that. And that's probably the number one thing that I bring to the table. I would appreciate your vote in November. I look forward to another 4 years. Just a couple more things that I am looking at, and I'd like to continue working on, is a safety net that involves all the jurisdictions where we can spend your tax dollars more wisely, providing a safety net for Thurston County citizens. And also I'm trying to do the same thing with healthcare, with working with 5 counties, trying to make sure we're in a good position for healthcare reform in 2014. Well, thank you very much.
Karen?
Right now, there are a lot of bad decisions that have been made and are continuing to be made at the county level. Great Wolf Lodge, not collecting those property taxes, $67.9 million, $45 for the principal, the remainder for the interest. It is $67.9 million for that new jail. Misuse of the veterans funds. How I would like to correct this, get us back on track. First is jobs, diversify our industries, whether it's medical, manufacturing, farming, or high-tech research. These are all possibilities for our area. Create a business-friendly environment. Another thing is to maintain crucial services through a sustainable budget, building only what you can afford to use, risk management, and then making sure that the money is going exactly where it's supposed to go. That's something I'm going to have to work on a lot, is reviewing how the money expenditures are. A third thing, government that's respectful and listens to everyone, not just some people, but to everyone from one end of the political spectrum to the other. I will do that. I want to be your representative, and I very much thank you for your vote.
And thank you.